Hey, what is going on guys? ShotSpikeLC here, and today we're gonna be comparing these two titles, which are from the same franchise and even contain the same sort of concept behind the gameplay, but yet are so different from each other. A person unaware of this franchise might believe it when told that these two are from two different studios. So here are the differences between the original Mirror's Edge game from 2008 and the 2016 reboot. Let's get started. First of all, the city. In the original Mirror's Edge, you were kind of restricted in terms of where you could go to and where you simply couldn't. It was a linear, level-based game, and although you always had the entire city in sight, you could never fully explore it because the rest of the city were non-existent. In the updated, pristine, and minimalist City of Glass, the opposite can be said. It has minimalist design elements while the city itself is so complex, has so many places you can explore and practice your parkour moves in. This type of game design is called open world. This brings us to the topic of whether or not open world games are any good, considering how much work needs to be done, as the developers need to design an entire city, and the answer for this particular game is yes. Mirror's Edge Catalyst can be considered a semi-open world game, as although it is open world and has open world elements, it is still quite restricted. My personal opinion is that DICE has found a sweet spot between the quality of the level and not having too much to the point where they couldn't add any details. And if you've ever played video games before, you know it's the details that count and that indicate whether enough work was put into the game or not. I'd say the city has seen a drastic improvement. Next, the combat. Combat has seen a lot of changes as well. In the first Mirror's Edge game, you could punch, jump kick, slide kick, but that was pretty much it. If you don't count in the clunky gun mechanics that is. The first Mirror's Edge tried to revolve around combat way too much, despite not even having a good set of combat mechanics. It forced you to fight the police, and when you had to, the only usable move you were left with was the disarm move, which was all about timing, which I can appreciate since this is a game all about timing after all, but not to the point where you have to use it every few seconds against the enemies. The second game still forces you to fight enemies, but it has not just serviceable combat moves, but actually enjoyable ones. The only noticeable shortcomings are the combat glitches that literally sends the K-stick guards flying away, and the fact that it is just too easy to take care of the enemies with just a few upgrades or spamming the same move over and over again. For example, the Sentinel, the toughest enemy class in the game, is only presented one by one until the boss fight, and they are entirely vulnerable to the switch place upgrade. You just spam some keys repeatedly, and the next thing you know, they're laying on the ground, dead. This applies to other classes as well. As long as there is just one more person left, you can keep doing a slide attack or keep kicking them into directions. But other than that, it has a lot of real-life hand-to-hand combat moves, and they all work great, and it's enjoyable until you find out that you can spam some keys and they die straight away. I'd say it is still an improvement though. Next, parkour. There are more parkour moves now. Here are some examples: springboarding, doing a flip while on swinging bars, standing up from the swinging bars. But there is this one thing that ruined the game entirely. Not just the free running aspect, but the entire game itself. And that is the upgrade tree. Now you need to buy these upgrades to do some of the most basic moves with in-game XP points. It is just ridiculous that you cannot do a roll before you unlock it. Sure, less important moves like Disrupt can be in the upgrade system, but not basic moves that are essential to the gameplay like Quick Turn. I'd say parkour has seen a downgrade. The first one required more skill, and although the animations are much better on the 2016 title, and the new moves are kinda cool and all, it literally makes me shake my head that these moves require in-game purchases with in-game XP points. Last but not least, story. Long story short, no pun intended, the story has seen an improvement. The country Faith roams in this reboot is ruled by corporations, and we see more insight into the lives of the citizens, also known as employees. They are the ones that require saving, unlike the first game where it's just Faith's sister that we as players need to rescue. It has better dialogues and less cringy plots, and I say it is better overall. Overall, the game is really worth buying. It is lacking in some areas, but it is simply that much better. Thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe for more Mirror's Edge videos, please do so, and this is Shot by Galaxy signing out.